My name is Giselle Gigi Heimann Retain. I was born in Denver, Colorado, December 29th, 1954, where my parents settled and thrived at the base of the Rocky Mountains after a long and twisted journey to escape the persecution and annihilation of Jews during World War II Europe. I grew up on Denver's west side, the Jewish west side, 1371 Utica Street, Denver, Colorado, 80204. My neighbors were mostly Holocaust survivors and children of the Holocaust. We treated each other as family because our aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents had been exterminated, but we were told nothing. Sometimes when I was little, I would think, perhaps when I grow up, I will have a number on my arm as well. We were told little to nothing of what had happened. We were sheltered and we were treated like seedlings after a fire. My father, Kurt Heimann, was born in Berlin, Germany on December 7th, 1912. His father, Ilse Heimann, was from Eger, Hungary. Ilse Heimann was born on April 7th, 1879 to Rosa Hartmann Heimann and Yitzhak Heimann. They had 6 children. Kurt's mother, Jetka Heimann, was born in Posen or Poznan on the German-Polish border. Her parents were Robert Lamm and Bertha Kurzweg. Jetka Heimann was born in 1884. There were 4 children in her family. In January of 1912, Ilse Heimann and Jetka Lamm were married in Berlin, Germany. Ilse Heimann was an upholsterer. Their second child, Ilse, was born in February of 1916. Tragically, she was murdered by a pedophile on December 24th, 1920, under the eyes of her very unfortunate brother, Kurt. Their third child, Gerhard Heimann, was miraculously born 10 months after that tragedy on September 29th, 1921. Gerhard Heimann, my uncle, will be speaking about his Holocaust experiences and that of the extended family. They were all scattered hither and yon, but through the generations, they have kept their bonds until this day. My mother, Lotte Grünfeld Heimann, was born on September 3rd, 1918, in Berlin, Germany. Her father, Leo Grünfeld, was born December 28th, 1884, to Leah and Moshe Grünfeld of Tarnów, Poland. Leo died at the age of 39 on January 19th, 1924, of factor 11 deficiency Jewish hemophilia. It was the 15th birthday of his eldest child, Gisela. Lotte's mother, Anna Ritta Blutmann Grünfeld, was born April 23rd, 1888, in Tarnów, Poland. Her parents, Gittel Blutmann Ritta, and father, whose name we do not know, were presumed to have perished during World War I due to starvation. Leo and Esther Grünfeld had 4 children. The eldest, Gisela Finda, was born January 19th, 1909. The second, Adolf, was born 1911, and the third, Mary Wilk, was born September 14th, 1912. And the baby, of course, was Lotte Heimann, September 3rd, 1918. Gisela, for whom I am named, and her son Leo, for whom my brother Manfred Leo Dick Heimann is named, was deported from Berlin, Germany on November 17, 1941, to Kaunas, Kovno, Lithuania, where she, Gisela, and her son Leo were shot by the Einsatzgruppe A and the Lithuanian militia under Nazi direction. Adi Adolf Grünfeld later escaped along with his brother-in-law, Max Wilk, to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, where they later brought their mother, Erna Esther Ritter Grünfeld, and sister, wife, Mary Wilk, and the little young Honey Wilk, who was born September 25th, 1935, to safety to Rio de Janeiro in December of 1939. On this video, Lotte Heimann will talk about her experiences growing up in post-World War I Germany, for she was born a mere 6 weeks before the armistice was signed on November 11th, 1918. She will talk about her childhood and youth before and after the Nazis brought chaos to her life. The story that you will hear told today by Gerhard Heimann and Lotte Grünfeld Heimann in December of 2002 is ultimately a story of triumph over tragedy and evil. It is a story of how family members stayed together through thick and thin. It is a testament to how loyalty, attachment, love, and religious conviction can weather the upheaval of political chaos and turmoil. It is the story of my family's survival of the Holocaust.
My father had a furniture store and upholstery firm, and there was a man he bought from material, materials, upholstery material. His name was Friedlander. And he said, I got a woman for you, you know the story. so he was related somehow to Bertha, Bertha Lamb, what was her name? Kurzweg, yeah. And Robert Lamm, there was a couple, very clever. So somehow, distant cousin or first cousin, anyhow, so they fixed him up, and they met. And at that time, it was a real love story. He got introduced usually, and the parents, the family got together from both sides and looked, said, no, it's okay. So they got married. That's the way it ended up.
Yeah. So, but I'm sorry, I'm confused because the upholstery store was in Hungary or Germany?
Berlin.
Uncle, tell him the story you told me.
Okay, but so that is the story. Him coming, we walked,
He
right?
walked from Hungary to
Walked
Germany.
from Hungary
Tell
to
him that
Germany.
story.
Yeah, he got this joy.
Yeah,
I have that story.
We
You have that.
we have
That's
that.
such a cute story.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We got that story.
Okay, so that's how.
So that's how that was. And that's why when my brother got born, and I told his sister, and then So.
Well, you just went over a big piece
Because we
of
just did
history.
that.
We have it
did
all.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then tell us about the neighborhood you lived in.
That was more or less a blue-collar neighborhood,
Was it a Jewish neighborhood?
No.
No.
Matter of fact, my brother didn't go to Jewish school and I didn't go to Jewish school. That's a public school. But we went different school. He went, they call it Turmstraße. If you want to go there one day, Turmstraße 13. That was a 13. That was a public school, 8 grades. And I went to Stephanstraße 3. Stephan, Stephan, 3. Which, by the way, is still, where I went to school was bombed out. But where my cousin, there was one part was boys' school, one part was girls' school. They didn't go together then. We only met at break time, So we was the only Jewish kids. My cousin, I don't know my brother, but my cousin, Betty, and I was the only Jewish kids in school. So I went there after the war in 1991, and mine was bombed out and Betty's was still there. And so it was a very interesting part there when we got there. He says, can I help you? I said, yeah. So I told him, I brought him my papers. He said, oh, he couldn't do enough for us. He wanted to talk and talk, 1 hour and a half. It was very interesting how they really was helpful. And also we went and see where I was born, and my brother was born someplace else. He was born in Gerrichstraße. 23, I believe. That's where they had a big place, you know. So anyhow, all I can tell you there is, any question you want to ask?
Yeah, I mean, did you go to temple a lot? Did you keep
No,
Gershon home? Nothing.
no, we didn't.
Was that observant?
The only time he was what he called in German 3 Tage Juden. That was 3 days Jews that went to New Year, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. You know, that was that. Now my father, my mother came from very religious background, very kosher and very religious. But that got lost, you know, somehow. So.
But you both had bar mitzvah.
Both had bar mitzvah. I finally had bar mitzvah at 15, I believe, because Tante Bella was very religious, she was pushing, you know, my father time, you know, and they said, yeah, you know. So I think that's what it was. But I wasn't religious. So I wasn't Kurd.
And you went to a Reform synagogue, right? It was Reform. Reform. Which in Germany, that was the first place they had Reform.
Well, we had matzah. We bought 15 pounds matzah. I know that much. Every Passover, you know, we didn't have no bread in our house. That much we didn't do. But they bought 15 pounds matzah, and that lasted 8 days, you know.
Yeah.
That was all about that part.
So Rich had brought it before World War I.
Oh, with my father, why he didn't go to military? The reason he didn't go to military, I'm not sure. One was he had what they call Hasenlip, a spoiled lip. I don't know about that. But he was Hungarian. We never became Hungarian citizen.
German citizen.
German citizen.
Okay.
And that is actually the reason why we're still here, why we're alive. My father was always the one that pushed things away off, you know. He was just he didn't want to do it. Anyhow, so when the time came, that's an interesting story. We had nobody in Shanghai except our first cousins, you know. Time came, first of all, we didn't want to go to Shanghai to begin with.
Wait, Anki, why don't you tell him how you ended up going to Holland?
Oh, why my father...
And tell him about Holland.
Okay, why my father was in military, is one was Hungarian, maybe he was also, what you call F4 here, you know.
They didn't pass the test.
Whatever, physical, you know.
Physical, right.
Anyhow, so that was the reason. Now you want to know about me in Holland? Okay. But in Germany, German Jews, so everything was done Familienrat, they called it. You know, they called they got together, informal, you know, sit on a table and decided what to do with the children. When Hitler came, everybody could see the writing on the wall. You know, so the thing was the youngest out first. So the youngest was Gerhard Gershon and Alex Gershon, which are still alive. And they went to the border, you know, to Holland, Holland border. And George was old, let's see, George was 24, was born 24, was 14 years old. Alex was born 26, was 12 years old. You know, we put him on the train, not the parents, just put him on the train and told him, you bought a streetcar, there's a streetcar in Krefeld, and you go over to on the streetcar, and when you get on the border, you just go over there to Nymegen, you know. So, but when you got off the streetcar in Krefeld, I mean on the border, you had to walk about a couple hundred yards, 100 yards, to the Dutch border, and there was a Dutch border guard. No. One reason, I never asked him how he got in there, but they let him in. You see? They know what it's all about, they let him in, and they found out later that they put him in a Jewish Waisenhaus, what you call Offenhome. They wrote to me, you know, or to my family, you know, and with the same address, because I couldn't read Dutch, and nobody knew, so I didn't know. So then, after they was there, I was the next youngest. So they got together again, I was time for me to go. Okay. So I did the same thing, but at that time I was already 17 years old. So I wasn't a kid anymore. So I came to the Dutch border. They said, where do you want to go? Oh, right here, you know. They know right away what was up. So, but I had Hungarian passport, you see, but I didn't have a Dutch visa. So then they say, where's your visa? Visa? Never heard of it, you know. So anyhow, the story there was, they was very nice to me, admired my shoes, brand new shoes, you know, I had an Aktentasche, it was a little map, you know, and a pyjama in there, and what else? Underwear, pair of underwear, that was it. So, it smoothed with me a little bit the border guard, and then he said it was time to go back. You know, and I started crying and said, no, you have to go back. Okay. But at that time, he had only 10 marks. So the deal I had with my brother was, if you don't get across, you know, you call me. Of course, we had no telephone at home, so I had to call the post office in Berlin, and they notify him that I want to talk to him, you know. That's the way it was. So anyhow, a long story short, there was in Krefeld. And I came back on the streetcar, and the same guy, he was so jolly, he was a German guy. He says, how come you back? You know, he knows what I want to go, but, you know. I said, well, I have no visa. He said, well, I could tell you that right away, you know, that you wouldn't get in there, you know, when you don't have a visa, you know. So anyhow, it was kind of sad. So there was 10 mark in my pocket, and I thought, well, what I do now? I went to, that's the motion.
Mm-hmm. Why were you sad, Unky? Why were you sad?
That's such story. Anyhow, I see.
Unky, were you scared? Were you sad? I mean, why were you sad?
I'm sure we were scared.
You will find out. Anyhow, I said, well, what you do, it was Nazis, you know, I went to an old woman, you know, and I said to her, do you know any Jewish family here? She said, sure, come with me, you know, because you never know what it was. But the older ones was less dangerous, you know. It wasn't dangerous, it was just, so she brought me to a Jewish family, and so they gave me dinner, and she says, you know what, if you want to go at dawn, when the sun settles, it was a curvy street. And usually the border guards, they're out for dinner, you know, they're not there. And I took off on the curvy street, and I thought to myself, what I do? If they see me, they might shoot me, you know, when you go illegal over the street, over the hilly side. And the sad part is, that's a goodness happened. The sad part is, I thought about my sister. You know? And I thought, well, they lost one child, and if they kill me, they lose another child, and they feel guilty, you know, for letting me go to begin with. So I said, no, what happened to them should happen to me. What happened to my parents, my mother, should happen to me. So I decided, so that made my mind, I want to tell you about decision making. You have to sometimes, you get thrown into it, and you make up your mind, quick.
You didn't have a lot of time to make
That's
up
right.
this big
So
decision.
I went to a little hotel, you know, and knocked on the door, and he says, bist du ein Jude? Nein, bin nicht Deutsch. So, I was sitting more in bed than he let me in, you know, looked me over, he knows what I was. And I was more sitting in bed than I was sleeping. Anyhow, the next morning, my brother wired money to somehow, I got the money and I bought a ticket, I don't know, something like that. So anyhow, I came back. So that was the third part. Okay, now.
But that was, I'm sorry, so you were in between home and...
No, yeah, I was
on the Dutch border?
I had two choices.
On the border, okay.
Try to get over the border.
That I understand, I just didn't know where.
Or go back home. So I decided, because of my sister, I would go probably the other way if it wasn't for my sister. So that I decided, no, I wouldn't do that to them. What happened to them? Okay, that was it. Now, the good part about that one was that later when we all got out, because if I was in Holland, my parents wouldn't go into China.
Right.
You see,
it was meant to be that you would save the whole family.
So that's unsafe. Okay, now we go back to, so I went back to Germany and worked there, and so then came...
Where did you work? You worked with...
I took an apprenticeship. The funny part was
Now, what year was this when you tried to get to Holland?
1938.
38.
Christmas 1938.
So already it was clear to people because I've always wondered because some people it's like they waited so long and it's like you think well nothing this isn't going to be as bad as it really is and people don't take the signs as clearly.
Some never believed it. Especially older people, there was the roots there and they say, well, the sad part is a lot of people was fighting in World War I. You see, some lost an arm, some lost a leg. I give my leg for the fatherland,
Yeah.
And they wouldn't believe that they would turn around and kill him, It was just a story, but nobody would believe. The older ones, the younger ones, they was a little more, they took off. And the rich ones, you see. The rich people say, well, they already pushed money out to Switzerland in the 30s. So, and here in America, you'd come here as long as you had $100,000 in the bank. You got a capitalist visa, they call it, fine. You don't even have a regular visa, capitalist visa, you was here. Money talks all over the world. Anyhow.
People got a lift, right?
What?
You took a lift.
Yeah, you could take that. You could take anything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Sure.
Except gold, not gold. Gold you have to hide. Gold you have to hide. But clothes and furniture, all that stuff, yes. So anyhow, so it became... I was an apprentice in 1936, that was the word got around, you have to leave, you learn a trade, not become a salesman or anything like that, or a lawyer or a doctor, because that was, you couldn't do much when you got in a foreign country. They say you're a doctor, but I'm sorry, but you have to make your own in a new, So anyhow, that was it. So I became an apprentice for plumbing, electrician, and that's what we did, tinsmith, So anyhow, then all the stores in 38, they closed them up. I was at my what you call him, Lehrherr is, what is it? What you
Your master?
The master, yeah. He was also Jewish, so I couldn't finish up. I had a contract, I still got it. But so I ended up, so then they threw me out of that, in the end of December, and then I became what you call Röhliger Helfer. It was a helper to a plumber, plumber helper. So I worked there till the end, And the interesting part was, the last week, when I got paid by the week, he shouted, I got paid by the hour, and he gave me 2 marks too much, he figured out 2 marks too much. I went back to him, and he looked and told me, you give me 2 marks too much. He says, Gerhard, du bist nicht ein Jude. Gerhard, you're not a Jew. Because the Jew was known as, money grabbers, Shook his head. Anyhow, a long story short, that was 2. Anyhow, so, and my brother was working for a hood and mützen, to make hat and mostly caps, caps, what they were. And there was, they fabricated them actually, so he was working there as a procurist, that was a manager. He was a manager there, But his name was Hermann, I believe, or something like that.
He changed his name to Hermann,
yeah.
So when
and I did the same thing. Yeah. So anyhow, when he went someplace and you don't know who he was, he says his name was Hermann. Oh. Hermann was strictly Gentile. Okay, Heimann was so. Anyhow, long story short, Ladi and my brother Ladi, tried to get visas,
But, so what was the time then? You met, so you were doing your apprenticeship, or you were done with the apprenticeship, you were working for the plumber.
Yeah.
Opie was working in the store.
Yeah.
And you guys, and Omi, you met?
1936.
Okay, let me go back.
1936.
Opie started working in 1928. Let's see, 12, 14, must be 1926 or so. Well, I think I had something like 26 or 77 as a Lehrling, apprentice in the Hut- und Mützenfabrik, Brüder Feige. No, there was a fabric, I think there was more selling stuff.
Wait, first he was an upholstery apprentice, right? And
Well,
that didn't work out.
No, yeah, I think something like that.
A little bit.
No?
I think he started apprenticeship late. I mean, he tried others first. So anyhow, somehow it didn't work out. He learned something from my father. I never learned anything from my father because I tried it. But your father is very handy. His fingers are very handy. He can fix, Mr. Fix It All. I wasn't that way. So anyhow, long story short, yeah, he worked, then became an apprentice, then he became a Reisevertreter, they called it, a traveling salesman, and he went with his boss all over the country. He knew every hotel in Germany, he knew every train when it leaves, where it arrives, he knew all the stuff. He had a
Throughout
photographic
Europe,
mind.
even more throughout Europe.
On
Right?
Europe, yeah. So, but mostly Germany. And then he met Larry on a, we call it after New Year's party.
Through your cousin,
Yeah,
Betty.
through my cousin Betty. They was apprentice in Hermann Thies. It's a big outfit like Foley, you know, like a May company, you know, a very big Jewish company. And they was apprentice there. And then became sales girls there. No, you didn't quite make it.
No.
It was the same thing. Hitler, they took over the Kaufhaus, you know what they call it, or the apartment store. They took it away from Jews and they threw out all the Jewish apprentices. So we ended up all on the street, 31st December, boom, out.
Of what year?
38.
38. No, it was before that.
No.
Mom was already working
Okay,
at the
yeah.
other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as apprentice, you know. So anyhow, so then let's go back how they met. Opie and Omi. They met in 1935, 36, January 3, 1936. We always bought too much donuts, and we always bought too much booze, you know. So we had to make an after party. No, and Betty says to Larry, why don't you come along?
His cousin.
Yeah, his cousin.
Because you met working as an apprentice in the
cousin.
store.
Yeah.
Betty.
So we came along, so they came, and your mother was very shy. And when he talked, there was a big stove, you know, the coal stove, you know, we put coals in, you know, the central heating. And she stood there, and when I talked, she got kind of red in the face. So she was always shy. That time
Only 17. Only 17.
Yeah.
yeah,
You were
because
shy.
she didn't know anybody, you see.
Yeah.
That was all new, and we was about 12 or 15, you know, first cousins, you know, mostly. So anyhow, they started dating, that's how they met, you know.
Was it love at first sight, Omi?
Yeah.
So
so
lived in
anyhow,
different neighborhood, completely different neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like here, east and west.
Yeah.
Different.
yeah, because we lived was more German Jews,
and
and where they lived more was Polish Jews, you know, the
Okay.
Polish Jew neighborhood, you see. It was then even people always concentrated, you see. The Polish neighborhood was people that came after World War I, you know, to Germany, you see.
During.
Or after.
1913.
Yeah.
You know, my mother came 1913 to
Yeah.
Germany.
Or even before, you see. So that was it was. So but it always was, you know, separated. So that's how it was. And do you want to tell yours where you come or not?
I don't want to tell anything.
Oh, just tell you. Okay, fine. Okay. Now
And I
let's
hope he
go.
got a toothache when he met you that
Yeah,
night.
yeah. He has to go to the dentist.
So anyhow.
Because you were so sweet, Omi.
So going forward, we tried, come back, how we got out. We tried all kinds of Philippines, Panama, Domingo, and they got a visa but didn't work, you know, there was, you know, their people took advantage, you know, they know you want to get out, they say, yeah, it cost you $400, you have to pay up front, you know, and turned out to be about the bogus, you know, anyhow, long story short, the way I got the story was, how we got finally out was, that Opie and Omi was taking a stroll under the Linn, that's the main drag in Berlin. You
Which
know?
Opie and Omi?
I mean,
They're okay.
Kurt and I.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. In other words, Kurt and Lali took a stroll, and they went, and under Linn is the Kurfürstendamm, there is extension. You know? Anyhow, long story short, Lali said yes to Kurt, that let me go in there to the Japanese consul. You see, Shanghai was occupied, the Chinese part. Shanghai was four parts. One was English, French, American, and the fourth part was Chinese. The Chinese was occupied by the Japanese because the Japanese invaded China in 1937, and they took away China. So then, I decided, let me go in to the Japanese consul, and
I don't do this.
To go, okay.
and asked if he could get the visa to Shanghai, you know. And they said, yeah, 80 Pfennig, not even a mark, which was 25 cents was a mark, a dollar of a dollar. 25 cents. So it was not even 20 cents about. It cost 20 cents.
To get to Shanghai.
Wait. But the reason we got there, they asked what citizen you are. Hungarian. No problem. 80 mark, 80 cents. Pfennig. So we came back, you know. And I remember like today, Kerdenladi came to me, he said, you want to go to Shanghai? I said, sure. You know. But I said, that's too much rice. I don't like rice. You know? But I go. So there was 3 of us. So then...
What about your parents though?
Wait,
I thought
I'm coming right to it.
Okay.
And then I went to my parents, you know. And you see, they was already married. They married in 1938. And that was already in spring of 1940. That was it.
So you haven't been married a full year yet, or?
No, it was more a year and a half, I would say.
Okay, a little over a year.
Yeah. Und they stayed with us, you know, they're in the same apartment.
Huh?
And
Who's that?
Okay.
oh, Laila, okay, right. Okay, so then, yeah, 3 want to go, and my parents said, we are old, you know, what shall we do in China? We are sickly, blah, blah, blah. I say, you know what, if you come with us, I take care of you. Always. So, they decided to go. Then, Ladi was in a hurry to go, and got out in a hurry, and Kurt says, you know, there's a lot of paperwork to do because we had the Hungarian passport that said the passport is good for the whole world except one country, and you guessed it, Hungary. Why it was India, I don't know. Good for the whole world except Hungary. Now, the story was with the Hungarian was, they was pushing us. You want to be Hungarian, you either go back to Hungary or you lose your citizenship. And Ladi was to fix it all. She went to the Hungarian council, you know, and she was not even Hungarian, she was only got in there by marriage.
Yeah.
And she talked them in to give us 2 months extension. But we needed to get out. So,
How did you do that, tell me?
Charming.
Just
charming.
with
You
your
can
charming.
imagine if she
Mrs.
was
Charming.
imagine her at 20 years old with those beautiful blue eyes and a gorgeous figure and an absolutely
And very,
and a bar of chocolate.
Yeah,
And a bar of chocolate.
That's not all. That's a very funny thing.
What?
very sure of herself.
And very sure of herself.
Now wait a second, I'm getting to it too. Very sure of herself, very forward, you know. So anyhow, she got he got it extended 2 months. I still got the passports. You will inherit them. And got the passports. And anyhow, so he went along. The explanation was, you'd say it's not good for, we have to go to Russia. You couldn't go by ship anymore because there was World War II already. It broke out the year before. And you couldn't go by ship any place. Because, you know. So we had to go to Shanghai. We had to go with the Beer Express. So we had to have a transit visa to Russia because it says not good for the Russian. So she went to the Russian consul, and she went in there, and she said, the second said, no, she said, no, I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to the consul, Russian consul. Well, that was pretty shrill, you know, pretty straight. And anyhow, somehow she got herself up on the first floor, you know, and she talked him in. There were 5 people, had all 5 Hungarian passports, to telegraph to Moscow to get a visa. So she comes down the stair. The secretary says to her, what do you say? He will telegraph to Moscow and get his visa. He says to all pretty girls, you know. Right?
Well, the looks do get you somewhere.
But, you know, and she was very direct and forward. Yeah, she was. Yeah. And the funny part is, now comes the funny part again. Our life is fate. The passports came, it was stretched out, it's good to Russia too, you know. They allowed to Russia give a transit visa. But there was one passport missing. Now you're the smart one. Which passport was missing?
Obi's.
What?
Homies.
Richtig. Jede one was arrested, but her was missing. So by mistake or whatever it was, so she went to the game to him, you know. He said, well, I'm not supposed to do it, you know, but I understand the story of that. He gave her the visa. So now we was kosher. So my brother was saying, you know, she wanted to go fast, you have to make a reservation with the train at least 2 months in advance. He wants to go, she wants to go fast. He says, wait a second, it takes a lot of paperwork. We better wait September. No, I don't want to wait that long, all this stuff. But September, it was 16th September, we booked the train, you know, to go to, so anyhow, we got out, all 5 of us, and we got late to Moscow. We got to Kovno, Minsk, Vilna, you know, the neighborhood there. Your neighborhood, that was right Russia, but Vilna, Minsk is right Russia. So I came to Moscow, and the train left. We missed the train by a few hours, some tour. So they put us in the most famous hotel there, for no cost. It's Metro.
From the Kremlin.
When you ever get to Moscow, who never knows, you know. Metro, maybe Bruce will one day. That's where we was. Metro Hotel.
Across from the Kremlin.
And of course we know we was bugged. I was a smart Alex, you know. I said, you can listen all you want, you know, in German. We know you listen, you know. Anyhow, there was a funny story too there. So we was 3 days in Moscow, and whenever you met a Jewish, you could tell more or less who was Jewish, Yiddish, you know. When you ask him anything, head like this. When you ask him about the weather, then he talked, you know. But he was afraid to talk, you know. So there's a beautiful metro there, subway there. That's the only good part about Moscow. So that happened. We had all first-class booking, but because we took a next train, we put it second class, you know. And because Obi and Opi was old, so they felt sorry that my Obi and Opi had to climb up second class in the sleep, you know. So there was a Russian officer and his wife. No, we don't know how to communicate, but they motioned, you know. We go up, you stay down, you know. They felt sorry for them. So anyhow, that train had give you a menu, but there was 2 things on it. They either get chicken the one day, hamburger next, or hamburger next or chicken. You should always choose between hamburger and chicken. End of menu.
And how long was the train ride?
14 days.
14 days.
14 days. And my birthday was on Manchuria, from Otpor, it's a Russian town. Manchuria was the other town, on the other side, I don't know the exact town name of it. So I was 19, I got 19 years. Yeah. So.
Wait, tell them the story about how Dad had the 5 marks in his pocket.
Yeah. I forgot that. On the border from Germany to Lithuania. Okay. My brother took all 5 passports, and he was always nervous type. He said, here's our passports, like this. And it was a young guy. And he got suspicious, you know. He was too over-anxious, I would say, you know. And he started looking at him, not us. He looked at him, you know, body search. And in Germany, he always had a pocket watch. You know, Dick has a pocket watch from my father, you know, with his parents. You know, with the parents, but you have the thing here, you know. And he put 5 mark. When you go out, you know, you put in 5 mark. You go out, put 5 mark, yeah.
Because you couldn't leave with any money or anything.
No, 10 mark.
No, 10 marks. You could leave with 10 marks.
10 mark, that was oil. So then, I'm getting cool, I'm sorry.
Cold?
Yeah, cool. From the draft. I'm a drafty kid. Okay, anyhow. So they found the 5 mark. And he said to us, extra mark. Right. So he says, you 4 guys can go, that was my parents and Larry, me, he stays. You know what that means. You know what that meant. So Larry jumped on that guy, he was in civilian clothes, jumped on the guy and said, you have to let him go, man. You know, I said, she actually jumped at him.
Yeah.
You know?
And can't you see? He did it was a mistake.
You know, and that, but we have 5 people, 5 mark, whatever, you know, who's interested in 5 mark, you know. So the guy said, sorry for, go, you know, that's all, you know. Give him a shove and go, you know.
Yeah.
So.
And so my
Same
mom
today.
Yeah,
Again,
so
oh,
that's right.
Yep.
So that's the story. Yeah. So anyhow, so that's the story there. So we got to, so then we went, oh, we were on a Russian border. So then we got to Harbin, that was the capital of Manchuria, occupied by the Japanese. So that was
Coming from Navaskan.
Oh, Navaskan, I forgot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I was very close with the ambassador from Afghanistan. He was in Germany, in Berlin, the ambassador, you know. We were very close, and he always bought, I worked in a jewelry store. And,
Yeah, that was awesome.
And like I say, he gave me all kinds of jewelry from Afghanistan, and my boss from Germany liked him very much too. So, and this
What was
ambassador...
the store you were working for again?
Huh?
Name this jewelry store?
Minoganburg. Das war in Berlin. But anyway, this Afghanistan, his name was Seine Exzellenz aller Navaskan, you know. And he had to go quick to Afghanistan. There was something going on. And our going away came so quick. And I said to my husband, Kurt, I want to say goodbye to Navaskan. And how can I do it? He said, what can we do? Finished. So when we came to Moscow, our train was late, and from that Afghanistan ambassador, his train was late, and we met in the same hotel.
Wow.
And his son was there too. But I want to say goodbye, and I couldn't do it in Moscow.
But
I
very-
bet. It was fate.
Yeah.
To say.
Our train was late, coming to Moscow, and he wants to go to bed. It was already wartime.
Yeah.
And we met. It was something special.
Yeah.
And he gave me a lot of money, and I forgot to exchange it. And later on, I came to China. He gave me rubles. Rubles is money from Russia. Rubles. So all the money what I got was nothing in China. So anyway,
Oh,
that was
no.
the story.
Was he a Jewish man?
No.
Was an ambassador?
Muslims, they're Muslims.
Well, if he was an ambassador to Afghanistan, or
No,
was he
no, he was
from the
Afghanistan.
country?
He was
From.
from Afghanistan.
Mm.
His Excellenz Allah Navaskan.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you ever know what happened to him? Yeah.
War came and we
Yeah.
were there and we didn't correspond,
Yeah.
Once he wrote me a letter from Afghanistan to Berlin when he was, and then I got this letter and it said it was safe from a burning airplane. And I got this letter still,
Wow.
This, the mail is in a special sack, what that
Diplomatic pouch.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it was safe when I got this, but it said, it was safe from a burning airplane.
Oh my
all kinds
God.
of crazy things.
Yeah.
So, I
So
forgot.
14 days
Okay,
on the
I
train.
forgot to mention,
Oh, yeah.
since they put us in second class, first class was booked up in Moscow, we changed the tickets, we got rubles for it. And we could exchange the rubles, we got one sausage salami. That was all they give you.
Oh.
All you could buy with the rubles was one sausage. So we had salami to eat, that's all. Anyhow, long story short, so in Manchuria, we got to Harbin, and my father got very sick overnight. He got the flu, that was the first time. And we put him in the hospital, and the bed was going with him like that. They didn't expect him to survive, but he did survive, he had a strong heart. But the Japanese threw it out, they said 2 people can stay from the family, 2 have to leave. We can't have the whole family stay. So, Ladi and Kurt and Ladi stayed, and my mother and I went to, we call it town Dairen, a port town on the sea there, Pacific Sea. Anyhow, so I never thought I see my father again, but I did. They got him well, he came. So then we went with a transporter.
I thought I'd die. I thought I'd die.
What is it?
They put a ship,
Yeah.
They put us deep down in, I didn't even know, in a cellar, and that ship was going like this.
Oh.
As
That
a
is
cook,
very
and
nice.
we was throwing up the whole night. We were so sick, I thought, I will never go into China. To Shanghai.
Yeah.
It was impossible.
How long were you had to be?
Overnight.
Just overnight.
Overnight.
Felt like forever.
Yeah?
I'm sure.
I think 2
Yeah,
days.
2 nights? I don't even know.
Okay, anyhow, long story short.
This war on Yom Kippur.
Yeah. So anyhow, we got to Shanghai, and they put us in a refugee camp, Pinglernrot, you know, if you never got there, Pinglernrot, that was an old factory, and all what the camp consists of is you got double bunk beds, you know, iron, from old army bed from maybe World War I, you know, something like that, and they put us all together, a single, I mean, at that time first, no, they didn't, but I was put together with my parents, you know, was 2 bunk beds, I was sleeping on top, they was on bottom, on the 4th bunk, they were put all suitcases, that was it, period, you know, and then you go in the morning, you get your tea, you know, and you got the
Porridge, I mean, you know.
the little porridge, that was it.
Yeah.
So I give one look, if we came late, you see that most of them came already in 1938. So,
And you
again,
didn't come until
October 4th.
yeah, 16
40.
October 40.
1940.
19 October 40. So, we arrived there. So, of course, at that time, there was already 2 years, and the people, intellectual people, couldn't deal with it, because they was thrown, you know, nothing to eat, barely, you know, not enough to exist, to eat, and they could, the blue-collar worker, there was more street smart, you know, like New York, you know.
And that's where you fit in.
Yeah, where I fit
So,
in.
yeah,
And my
so
brother.
you could handle
and
it
my
more.
brother. You know,
Yeah.
we both fit in, we know, well, I give one look around, I was play kid, you know, in Germany, but I looked around and I say, hey, that's over, you know, get to work. So, we seen the other ones, they were skeletons already, and a lot of lice, you know. Yeah, that was that.
They died like flies, the people.
Yeah.
The first people that came there,
Yeah,
they
You know,
had
typhus, you know,
diarrhea. I mean,
typhus,
terrible
typhus.
they died.
So that was the thing, you know, they put them in a hospital, but
And when you say it was a camp, I mean, I picture
800
I mean-
people, about 800 people in there, you know. Then they throw me out from the parents and put me with the Junggesellen, they call Junggesellen or
The single ones.
Yeah, single
Yeah.
ones, you know. And so that was that. So you start moving, you know. So my brother is a little more better businessman. I'm not a businessman at all. And he started second hand, you know, he sold rusty nails, crooked ones, and you straighten them out and you sold them second hand nails. That was a survival deal, you know. And he sold caps because you know, second hand stuff. And you stood there and sold, you know, supplement, so it was just enough so you don't starve, you know.
because you came with, what did you have when you arrived?
No, we had
A suitcase?
big suitcase. Yeah, this we could
Suitcases.
You had a lot of suitcases.
Yeah.
So you had
Suitcases.
clothes, plenty
Yeah,
of clothes.
yes,
That's
and-
right, that's
we
right.
did.
So anyhow,
And
and 10 mark,
dishes?
or $4.
Those dishes came?
No, not to America.
They came to America?
For-
Die
From Germany.
Zusammenpassen?
Yeah,
Oh.
we had friends in Germany after the
Okay.
war and they sent us. This
Okay.
came from.
So what did you, it's kind of going back, but so what did you leave behind and what were you able to take?
Now, the furniture you can take.
So did you
couldn't.
sell it? But you couldn't take
You
money
got nothing
anyway,
for it.
right?
You know
The
what?
sad part
When
was,
we left, we had a big
grandfather clock,
grandfather's clock, yeah?
5 mark,
5 marks,
$1.25.
you know?
one of those giant, you know, magnificent
Yeah.
grandfather clocks. The people, the neighbors,
You
they
know,
knew
matter
that you
of
were
They
fact,
knew,
and they just took advantage of it. They
matter
said,
of
you're gonna
fact,
leave it anyway.
I want to go back here if I can. So, I go back a minute.
Yeah.
So, I want to tell you an interesting story. When the war broke out, the Second World War, September
my birthday, so
1938, you know, I remember it was a Sunday.
on Sunday.
We were sitting on a table like this and eat dinner, I mean hot dinner, hot lunch, you know. Anyhow, that what happened. So anyhow, Göring, you know, was a field marshal of the Luftwaffe, he bragged that no enemy plane will ever come to over Berlin.
Yeah.
So a couple of days later they came. There was right there, a few, let them know that we are around, you know. So dropped a few bombs, so then you had to build air raid shelter, you know. So the air raid shelter was, every apartment house had a cellar, you know, and they had a little place where you could put your stuff. So anyhow, long story short, so my brother was sewing, my father was sewing sandbags, you know. the Christian, they filtered, and my brother, because the upholstery, they were sewing up, and I was laying light. There was no light in there. I put lights in there, I think. So, I put lights in there, fine. And the interesting part was, there was one Nazi, never talked to me. I said hello to him, never talked to me. But when I put the electrician thing, he says, here, Heimann, have a beer. Finally, I know where I was.
Yeah.
And my father and my brother, anyhow, long story short, the guy, there was from in another apartment house, same, there was a man, he married one of the girls. I played with him, but then later on when Hitler came on and played with me, and long story short, he was a second lieutenant, married one of the girls, and when he was on vacation, he says, I don't want to sit with the Jews in the same cellar. So the mother-in-law said, you cannot do that, you live here 30 years, he put the light and they did everything, you cannot do that. So finally, he agreed to sit with us in the same cellar. So but that time there was no rooms. I mean, when we moved, they found out, he says, well, we are allowed to take over your place, But he says, that place has to be painted. And before you leave, you better paint the place. 150 mark. We had to pay for it. I said, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
What want to get out? You don't make any waves.
Yeah.
You couldn't make any waves. So that's an interesting story, how
you
things
were
happen.
intimidated
Yeah.
always.
Okay,
Yeah.
now back to...
And you know what you should also say? That your mom used to, they
Yeah.
lived in that
Yeah,
neighborhood for
yeah,
years
yeah.
and years, and then people
Wenn
turned
ich
around.
Shopping, there in
And-
Hause, Saujude and dreckige Jude, you have no right, come shopping, but they didn't
People,
know.
they lived in the same neighborhood, and then of course, you couldn't go shopping until
After 4 o'clock.
after 4 o'clock when
And nothing
everything was
gone.
left, everything was already gone.
So anyhow, that was that start. So,
Yeah.
let's see what else. So let's go back to the future again here. Where was he?
So you were in Shanghai in
So you were
Oh,
in
Shanghai.
Shanghai.
Yeah, okay.
But I just want to just say, it wasn't just the fact that it was the constant intimidation, and it was the constant feelings of
Fear, what could happen.
fear
You know?
and degradation.
For instance, when you
and
walk the
dehuma-
streets,
dehumanization.
and they was marching, and when they was marching, the Nazis, and then the people was on the sidewalk, they had to make Heil Hitler!
Yeah.
And you walk there too, and you don't make Heil Hitler, Then they know exactly what's going on. Or we was caught in the middle, there was a big get-together in a park, and my husband and I had to come from someplace. And then die Fahne hoch, that means they were singing, and we were standing. I was afraid if I would do that, and somebody would know me, would say, look what she's... And I was standing there, and my husband, I didn't do it, and they gave me from the back a push, du Schwein, can you open, But I was afraid to do it, and my husband, but we had to do it for the reason, either.
Yeah.
It
There was no.
It was. I mean,
No,
I don't even
win.
want to even talk about it. I mean, it's, or Kristalnacht, I worked in a jewelry store in the best neighborhood. And we had
In
the
Talentstrasse.
chain, closed by chain,
Yeah.
And I was in the morning there to open up it's the store, I had the keys. And I opened up, and the glass and everything, the jewelry came in front. And I was cut all over. And then you know I'm Jewish. And they said, and they want to help me, young men came, want to help me. And the other one said, don't you help that Schwein, that Jew. And said, I mean,
You can't imagine that would be.
it's hard to explain how people became Nazi and became so mean. People what were so good with you, and they didn't know, we were raised together, was living together, and things like this.
And then they're
So bad, well, my mother I never looked really Jewish. I had lighter hair and had blue eyes. My mother had dark and so. And my mother, I was walking, a girl comes, du also Jew and so. And I went in there and I gave her a clap. And I said, Mother, don't do this. That's okay. It was tough. You had to be,
Yeah.
It was, I don't know. How people can really. Well, my sister got killed, the whole family, when she was well-to-do. Didn't want to go out without money and without and she got killed, And she could go to China too. But she said, I don't want to go for the reason. What can I do? I have here all the money, and Hitler wouldn't be too long, you know.
They wanted to wait it out.
Yeah,
Believe
yeah,
it.
wait, yeah.
And that's who I'm named after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's alive.
Yeah.
And Dickie's named
After.
for Leia, right?
Yeah.
But really he's named after my mother.
And my people went out to Brazil. My mother, my sister, my brother, my brother-in-law, they went to Brazil, you know, in 1939 in December. That's that.
Yeah. So in China, because you didn't stay in this camp setting the whole time for the
Yeah, we
8
did, we
years.
did.
Yeah.
We have moved to another
Yeah,
camp.
move another camp, yes.
And that was
So were people guarding you? Were
No, no,
people-
no,
I mean,
no,
because
no,
that's
no.
what I think of when I think
It's
of a camp.
more of a refugee camp.
Yeah,
Right.
we was living there in old factories, you know, it was old
Like a factory.
factories.
No, no.
Yeah.
We got a big kitchen, everything is paid from America, like
Yeah, you see the joint,
joint, yeah.
send money over to, but you couldn't send it direct after the
Yeah.
war, because they send it to
What's
over
that?
Hong Kong, you know, some
Yeah.
dude,
Hi,
you know,
Pucci.
Yours is over?
Mine's
Yeah.
gonna die, but yours is fine.
you know.
Yours is the tape's done?
Yeah, mine is, but this one's still going.
When did it stop taping?
It's about to in about a minute.
Oh, okay. Well, that's actually a good
So you
place
want
to
to
stop.
stop?
Yeah, we'll stop
Yes.
right there.
Huh? You want to
Stop
stop,
it.
and
Yeah,
then we
it's
do
one.
next time we come
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
to do it
Yeah,
again.
yeah, we'll,
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
pick it up. We'll
Okay.
pick it up.
What did he do? Oh, look at
Oh.
I think he beat you. Look what
Jonathan.
he did here.
Look at
Isn't
that.
that very nice?
Seconds left.
There's actually
It's
something
done to 0
inside.
minutes.
What,
Really?
what is? Can I see?
There's a surprise inside.
Beautiful. And I like the
for
color, what he
you.
put, look at.
Yeah.
It's a nice
Jonathan,
color scheme.
He's going to be such
Yeah, beautiful.
Oh, look at that.
Lila, look what he did.
The first time I seen
Isn't
some
he-
milk.
a, and you know,
Really?
he built it quietly.
Very
by
nice.
himself.
Yeah,
was
Jonathan.
doing.
That's because I told him to.
Oh,
No,
Really?
you didn't tell me to bring these out.
No, don't get credit. He gets the credit.
Yeah.
Look at here.
That's beautiful.
And I like how this color, look at this color.
no,
Beautiful.
I've never built anything like
But
that.
I like how you
before.
put the pieces on the side.
Yeah.
Very
That
nice,
was cool.
very
That's like
nice.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice.
Something's gonna come out.
Very nice.
Isn't that
He
nice?
is in.
Make
Very
it come out.
Let's see what's in there.
And you know what? He didn't bother us. He was
No, I
quiet.
didn't know he was-
I
Let's see,
didn't know
Johnny.
that